All right, slope-intercept form from tables. So again, if you know the slope and a y-intercept, you're still going to use slope-intercept form, but now we're going to find the slope using change in y over change in x. So change in y is down 2, change in x is up 2, positive 2. So our slope is negative 2 over 2 equals negative 1. So that's our slope. So we go y equals our slope with our x. And then the y-intercept is when x equals 0. So we're going to put that 5 in place of b. All right, so 6 to get to 3 is down 3. Negative 3 to 0 is up 3. So our slope is negative 3 over 3, which is negative 1. So y equals negative 1x. And then our slope is when, our y-intercept is when x, not y, which it wouldn't have mattered in this case, but when x is equal to 0, that's our slope. So we have plus 3. Okay, so when we know the slope, but we don't know the y-intercept, so see in this case, I can't tell if that's 0.5, which it might be, or it might be 0.42. So I don't know exactly what my y-intercept is. So I'm going to use point slope in this case, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I need to know an x1 and a y1, and I need to know the slope. So slope will do the same way. So we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, 2, 3. So our slope is negative 5/3. And then I'm going to use one of these points. It doesn't matter. I'm going to use this one. And we're going to say y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. All right, so then remember this minus and negative is just a plus. So we get y plus 2 equals negative 5/3 x minus 2. All right, so then the next one, and I could have, by the way, I could have used that point. And if I actually wanted to solve for y, which we're not really doing right now, they would have ended up the same way. All right, so this one, our slope, 1, 2, 3, down 3 over 1, 2. So our slope is negative 3/2. So y minus y1, or I could say y and the opposite of the y, so it was negative, so now it's positive, equals the slope, x, and the opposite sign from x1, so plus 1. So I could have written minus negative 1, or I can just think of it as the opposite of that and just go ahead and get my plus. Okay, so you try the next one. So point slope form from table. So again, when you know the slope and a point, but I don't know when x is 0. All right, so I don't know when x is 0, so I'm going to do this with point slope. So again, I'm going to use change in y over change in x. So this goes, there's something wrong with this. We'll just ignore this point because there's something wrong with that. Anyway, so if we use this point, we have 3, down 3, and up 2. So our slope is negative 3/2. And then we're going to use just one of the points. It doesn't matter. I'll use this one. So I go y and the opposite of the y value equals negative 3 halves x and the opposite of the x value. So it was positive, so it's going to be negative. I'm going to go ahead, well, no it won't. Okay, so here we go. So this one is 1. This one is 3. So our slope is 1/3, and I'll use this point. So y and the opposite of the y value equals 1/3. That's the slope. X and the opposite of the x value. So again, if I was saying on this one, it would end up being x plus 4, because that's the opposite of the x value. All right, last one for this video, solving for y from standard form, which we will do a lot in our section on systems of equations, first part of second semester. So move the x term to the other side and change the sign, because that is like subtracting 6x from both sides. That's going to cancel. So you can just think, move it to the other side and change the sign. It's not anything that we haven't been doing. We're adding the opposite. But if you just start to think about move it to the other side and change the sign, it'll make things go faster. Then we divide by the coefficient of y. And then we simplify all the fractions. So y equals 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is positive 3x. And if we really wanted to get it into slope-intercept form, we would change those into the right order. All right, so move the x term to the other side and change the sign. Divide by the coefficient of y. Simplify all the fractions. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 4/5 is already simplified. So plus 4/5 x. And then if we really wanted it into slope-intercept form, we would just change the order.